Welcome to Positive Energy with Crystals. My name's Hillary, and today we're doing positive energy journal stuff. So if you haven't seen my other positive energy journal videos, go watch the first one. I'll put a link down in the description. It's a big long explanation. I don't want to go over every video because these are going to be long anyways, and I don't want to add that to it. So we just finished January, which means, oh, come on, let me make room. I've got my January layout done. I'm going to go over everything, and I'm going to tell you about the changes that I'm making for February. Now, whoops. Crystals rolling away. So, you know, I started off with a practice month where I did December, and it actually ended up being December and November of 2025. And I made changes for January's layout, and I've got more changes again. So this is a always changing journal, which is totally fine, and I'm still happy with it, and I still love it, and I'm gonna still keep doing it. And I know there's a bunch of you that are doing along too, and I can't wait to see your progress and hear about your progress, and this makes me happy. So let's go over oh, and this is also the first, so last, when I was doing the other ones, we didn't have the themed stuff, prompts. This one's got the themed, so we'll get to those here in a minute, but let's bring you down. Boing. And go over stuff. So, okay, Angel Light needs to go there. For my message, I'm not gonna go over each one individually, but I used my charms. So I had a doe, the Eiffel Tower, this little hand, I think hand of Fatima, a telephone, and this horse. And so that was my message for January. And I took that as, after I, put it all together, is I needed protection, harmony, and gentle energy for a large event and to communicate about it. I didn't really know what was going on with that. I thought, there was nothing big going on in January. But then we got snowed in. Well, not really snowed in, but there was a big snowstorm. And before I always really focus on protection. We live in a camper. I'm always worried about protection. Whether it's for the camper, just us in general, whatever. So when I get a message, focus, about needing protection, I'm going to go into even more protection. So we put out protection oil, and you'll see here in a little bit, I had to make more protection oil. I did all the protection stuff. And so when the snow came, we were all good. We are doing really good. It's cold, but we've kept warm. Our water's good. It's all good. So that was a good message. I followed it. So the theme was cozy, and so I came up with that. That wasn't something like I asked my pendulum or anything else for a theme for the month. I am coming up with the themes. And I thought January, we usually get colder, and it started off a little warm, and I was a little worried that I wasn't going to get the cozy feeling. We got cozy. So when we get to the prompts, you'll see what the themes were. The doodle was snowflakes, and honestly, I thought I'd have a lot more doodles. So I've got, the one up here, and then I've got a few throughout. some over here. But I honestly didn't doodle that much this month, and that's totally fine. I'm sure there's going to be months where that's all I feel like doing is doodling. The season, I went with winter. And let's see, let's go back over here. Now you'll see this section here is all kind of squished together. And that's because in the previous one, I felt like I didn't squish, there was a lot, and I felt like I needed to squish some stuff together. It's too squished now. So in February, I'll show you here in a little bit, it's more spread out. But in my pocket, I've got them all right here. I had my amethyst, my tourmalated quartz, my angelite that keeps rolling around, my Apache tears. So the angelite and the Apache tears are my standard grief. I'm still carrying all that. Mookite was my crystal that I worked with in January, and I'm going to record that video next. So we'll do that next week. And then I also added this little owl charm. And this key charm. So the owl charm, I'll get into a little bit more about birds here in a little bit, but there's been a lot of predatory birds around lately. It just seemed like more normal. And so I went through my charms and found a predatory bird charm, and all I have is an owl. And then we need to unlock some stuff, so I started carrying a key charm too. And then also, it was a weird month. Well, I've still got my angelite bracelet that I've been wearing all the time. I'll go more into it. I don't know. I'm going to go more into it when I do the Mookite video. But it kind of started off weird and mostly just weird feeling for me. So I ended up adding my jade bracelet back in. So jade was the crystal I worked with in December, and I decided to bring it back in a little bit. My husband found me this aquamarine bracelet I'm very excited about. It's super pretty and I love it. It's a little big, but I kind of like that it's too big. It goes over, I'm not wearing my watch, but it'll usually go over everything. And so I've been using that once in a while. And then I'll talk about a funeral we went to. I broke out my black obsidian and my moss agate bracelet for that. So now also I have, earrings. But I'm not going to list all the earrings that I wear that are crystal related. Like right now I've got red jasper earrings in, but I'm not going to go into, it'll take up a lot of space. So for me, I'm sticking with what is actually in my pocket and my bracelets. And sometimes maybe my pendants. So, keep going. In the sky, on the 3rd was the full wolf moon. And then on the 18th was the new moon. And then I also was able to see, because we haven't had much cloudiness, I got to see one of the dippers. And I can never tell which one's which without seeing both of them. So I don't know if it was a big dipper. I think it was, because it seemed pretty big, but it could have been little. I don't know. But that was fun. So for gratitude for January, I was grateful that I had experimented with the layout of my positive energy journal back in December, because it helped me. I'm really glad that I didn't have the themed stuff while I was trying to figure everything out. I'm glad I took December to figure out the basics, and then this month added the themed parts. So that was great. So where we live has new property owners, and they are doing so much work. Now today you'll notice that there's no bulldozer or construction noises. I'm going to try to record as much as I can today to take full advantage of that, because there's too much snow. I'm not doing much work. We started off the month with nice weather, and that was really, really nice. And it was great. Felt a little weird, but it was nice having that. I was able to open the door and just have fresh air come inside. My enabler husband, I am very grateful for him, and we'll get into a little bit why I put that. There's a very specific reason. One, the bracelet, but here in a little bit we're going to talk about bottles. Great friends and craft time, and I'll explain or talking about that here in a little bit too. Some memories. On the first, the new owners of our property, while they were doing some construction, they found an eagle's nest on the property, which was super cool. And I've actually mentioned that I've seen eagles a couple times, and it's because there's a nest nearby, which is, I think, is so cool. On January 2nd, we decided to go to Culver's for lunch, and the nearest one is in Joplin, about 3 hours away. It was a fun day, just to get out of the camper and just go have fun, just the two of us. Now this one, I put it in here, and afterwards I realized this kind of goes against what I've been telling all of you, to only put positive stuff in your journals, in your positive energy journals. So the new owners are getting rid of all the grass in our living spaces, and they're putting in lots of rock. That, I didn't realize how much it would affect me, and it bummed me out, and it's made me sad. And so having this in here is actually not, it's not positive energy to me. Now I will say, we don't have to worry about people mowing, and my vehicle's actually gotten damaged from a mower flinging rocks at it, so we're not gonna have to worry about that anymore. But I didn't realize how much the grass affected me. So that was a bummer. I've been doing some ancestry research stuff, and I found out my family is related to a king. And then memories, I visited a magical fairy house, and should I talk about that now, or should I, let's see. No, we're going to talk about that in the magic section. So, that was amazing. I'll tell you about it here in a minute. And then under my little washi tape here is just some stuff that, I don't need on the internet. Okay, the magic section. And you can see it needed more space. So I started off the month with I do a cinnamon stick above the door. A lot of people blow cinnamon, the powdered cinnamon in their door. Well, up until recently, we've always had pets, and I didn't want them walking through, and we live in a camper. It was not going to work. It's too big of a mess. So I put a cinnamon stick above our door, and that way you can stay there all the time too. But I also do a simmer pot that usually has a cinnamon stick in it, and this month I really focused on good luck, prosperity, and money in 2026. So it was kind of a for the year kind of thing. And I usually do that, like, mine is actually a butter. It's for, like, when you're eating crab, it keeps your butter melted, and it's got a candle underneath. Works great. It's small. It stays pretty protected. We're in a camper. We got to be very careful with fire. So I'm really comfortable with using that, though. Like I said before, we first of the month, we did so much protection stuff. So we did all that, but then we also protection oil around all of our sites. And right now we take up 3 sites because we couldn't park on the grass, but now that we can park on the rock, we're not taking up as much space, but we put it around all of our vehicles, the camper, everything outside. And I thought I did more that day. I also did, oh, they're here. Smudge spray, the Miss Tarot D's smudge spray. I sprayed that around. I finished reading Witching Stones, which I will be doing a review. I'm hopefully going to record it today too, so in the next few weeks or so, you should see that. And I considered that magic, part of my magic practice. I charged the crystals and did some full moon water. I try to do that every month, but it's still part of it. Let's see, and I did an annoying neighbor candle for our jerkwad neighbor, and I used a brown candle on that. I think the original, like, what somebody else wrote out, they used a different color candle, and apparently I didn't have that candle, so I used a brown one. I'm going to explain here in a little bit. Until recently, I just didn't feel like I was in the right headspace for doing, like, candle spells and stuff like that. And if I'm not feeling it and things just aren't, if my head's not in it, then sometimes I feel like it's not as powerful, for one. So I did that, and that's ritual, and he left the next morning, but he was only gone for 2 days. And usually he's gone for like weeks. Now we have trouble with him because he plays his TV too loud. The new owners have been really good about talking to him about that, so that finally, that's been great. But he creeps me out. I don't like him. I keep wishing that he would get some amazing job somewhere else, but he's a jerkwad, so we'll see. I may try to do that again next month when I'm in a better headspace, but it only lasted a couple days, and then he's back. Okay, so estate sale at Magic Fairy House. Okay, so I'm going to tell the story now. So we went with our friends, and around here they do estate sales. A little bit different. Like, when we lived in Colorado, estate sales where you go to an auction, and they'd auction stuff off. Well, here they set up that, like, this company comes in and sets up this huge, like, yard sale. And the first day it's full price, and the second day it's like 20% off. The next day it's 50% off. It kind of depends on the company doing it. And this one, they were up to 75% off on this day. So it was pretty picked over by the time we got there. But we pulled up into this old neighborhood. And, you know, it's full of old brick houses that are really cool. And this house was different. It was not brick. There was no brick. I don't think there's any brick at all. And it had the old, what are they called? Is it shaker shingles? Or they're wood? And the house was kind of shaped like a barn, and then the shingles went kind of down. It's hard to explain, but it just felt like a witch's cottage type feel. And as we're walking up, I even told my husband, I said, "Oh, there's fairies living in this house, or in that backyard. I want it in that backyard." So we walked around to a back door to go in, and I found I love rubber stamps, and I found some rubber stamps. I bought them, and we go through this other area, and out in the backyard, I'm like, "Oh yeah, there's fairies here." And it was kind of set up so that there was this adorable shed, and I just knew there was going to be a shed, because you walk out to a house like that, you know there's going to be an adorable shed with, you know, painted purple and has curtains and stuff. And then there was this bricked out circle, like flower garden area, except that there hadn't been flowers, I don't think, planted there, unless they had it in pots. But it's just some like bricks and circles. And that was off to the left, and then off to the right, off the deck, there was like this garden area with a lot of, you know, it's fall, well, winter, and so there's no leaves on everything, but there's, you know, plants everywhere. and it was blocked off or gated off, so you weren't supposed to go there. But I kind of walked off to the edge because it felt like there was something there. And then at first it felt kind of panicky, like, oh no, we got to protect it. And then it kind of felt like, oh wait, she's different. And then it just kind of like relaxed a little bit, and it's hard to explain. At first I felt like I shouldn't walk over there, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're good. But because there were so many people that, you know, they weren't going to do anything else except for not hide from me as much. But it was so awesome. And then went through the rest of the house and upstairs, and you could look down, and they had these cool windows. You could look down into the garden, and it felt magical, and it made me happy. And I wish there was like more stuff there. Like I was on the search for old bottles to put water in, and I just wish there was something there like that. She had a lot of seashells and stuff there, and I wasn't into the seashell stuff, but I did get the rubber stamps. And then after that, we went to some thrift stores, and I found lots of bottles. I will try to remember to put a picture here. I think I have a picture. Yes, I do. There's some really cool ones. So I've got, there's a blue one that I put, here in a little bit, I think I put that I made new moon water for the very first time. I've never had new moon water before, so that was awesome. I'm loving it so far. And then, I've got the two, no, those are the old ones. I put a plant in one, because I found out it leaks. You can only go so far before water starts leaking out the spout, so I put plant propagation in it. Works perfectly for it. And then the other one, I collected some of the snow, and over here you'll see I collected a lot of snow water, and so I've got a bunch in another bottle, but what I'm pouring out and using is actually in one of those bottles. And then I gotta find stoppers for 3 others, and that's where the enabler husband came in, because he kept finding them, and he kept finding cool ones, and he kept saying, yeah, get it. And so I found a bunch of bottles, and I love them. I made more protection oil because we used it all up. I made some in bulk oil. I'm trying to do the seasonal stuff more this year, and I kind of started making Sabbath oils last year, and now this year I'm going to, I think I didn't start for a few more months, so I think I've still got this one in bulk, and maybe I did do, anyway, I'm gonna do the ones that I didn't do last year. So I made that. Let's go ahead and go down. So ceramics painting my mug and my gnome, so that also goes under memories, and I will put a picture of them. I'm very, 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 very picky about mugs. The handle has to be perfect, the balance has to be perfect, and now after this mug, the where you sip from has to be perfect, because where you drink from on this mug is perfect. And I painted that, and I painted the gnome, and that goes along with the gratitude, the craft time. We went to a studio to paint, and it made me happy, and I have an art degree, and one of the big things was I was in pottery, and I loved everything about that. It was what got me through the rest of college, knowing that as long as I got through, I could go to pottery at these times. And having that again, doing stuff with the pottery, it made me happy and helped a lot. So on the 24th, we finally got the first snow of the season. Usually we've had snow, sometimes we'll get it in December, maybe earlier January, and never this much. This we used to live in Colorado. This was more of a Colorado storm, and it was considered a historical storm and all that, and we still have snow. All right, so I did a transformation simmer pot with my snow water, and I did the road opener candle that back in October I bought oil from Celina at Essence of the Moon, and I finally was, like I was saying before, if I'm not in the right headspace to do something, I don't usually do it because it's either not going to work or it just doesn't quite work enough. So I finally felt good enough to do that, and it smelled. I just did the road opener. I didn't do the other one yet, and it smells amazing. I loved it. I actually added some of the oil to the simmer pot on the second day, because when I do them, because there's the small, I usually try to do the simmer pots 2 or 3 days, sometimes 4. And then I also collected a lot of snow water, so I've got lots of snow water for, like, I'm really focused on transformation right now, but it's also good for cleansing and stuff like that. All right, now can you still see it? I can bring it up a little. Go outside. So from where I was telling you about the owners found the eagle's nest, you can kind of see where it is from where we are, so I considered it. Plus you see the eagles all the time, so I counted it. The squirrels playing out by the pond. It's cardinals, so many cardinals this year, and I don't know if it's that there's more this year or I'm paying attention more this year. Guinea hens. Guinea hens hate me. They will surround my car. I don't know who they belong to, but they gather at the entrance to the property out where the gates are, and they'll surround me, and then my husband will be driving my car and they leave us alone, but they know when I'm driving. The killdeer, they're not acting as crazy. I think they finally realized it's not really spring and they should chill out. Mud. So we started out, we had some rain, and they started removing all the grass, and it was muddy, and he did get a bunch of the rock done, so hopefully when the snow melts we won't have even more mud. The blue heron was in the pond, which we don't usually see him in the pond this time of year. That's more of a spring summer thing. But I think all the animals were confused. Oh, I did see the eagle. Oh, that was a different eagle, because that wasn't a bald eagle. So the eagle's nest is a bald eagle, and that one was the other one, the golden eagle. And then I put the ponds froze, and there were some really cool frost crystals on my car one morning. They were really cool. And then snow. So what I could hear, construction, rain and wind, and I underlined wind because we've had a lot of wind this month. I could hear the killdeer, owl convention. So one night, laying in bed, getting ready to go to sleep, there were like 3 or 4 owls talking, and so I was joking that there was an owl convention, because especially during the summer we can hear 1, sometimes 2 at night, but there were more than that. So that was at bedtime, and then I could hear the tractor pull. I don't know what my obsession with tractor pulls are now, but where we live, they hold events once in a while, and I didn't get to go see it because it was so cold even inside, and so we didn't go watch it. But I could hear it, and it made me happy. Feel when I went outside at the beginning of the month, it felt like spring. I was ready to plant flowers and all that. The wind, and then it felt like winter and icy. And the smell, it smells skunk. I think that I use a different ink color every week, so, and I think that was at the beginning. So there's skunk at the beginning, and then I could smell more wet dirt, and then I could smell the exhaust from the tractors. And then I've forgotten the smell of snow, and there was enough snow this time that it was definitely that snow smell. And it's hard to explain it. It's kind of like rain, but different. And I'd forgotten about that smell until just recently. Okay, now we're going to get into the themed stuff. And let me move the crystals so they'll stop rolling around. All right, we're at a half hour. I'll try to make it quicker. Okay, so the cozy feeling stuff. For me, cozy feeling stuff is hoodies, a fuzzy soft blankets, a thick comforter on the bed, hot tea with vanilla. If you've never done hot tea with it's vanilla coffee syrup, oh, it's so good. Hot chocolate, cider, comfort food from childhood, and warm spice smells, candles, snuggles, cartoons. So that's why I put Bugs Bunny there. Reading, sorting crystals, green chili. Green chili. It's a very cozy. I've actually got some the last of what I have frozen. Last time I made green chili, I made a bunch and froze some, and the last of it's thawing right now for tonight, and it makes me a little sad. Now, I lived in Colorado, so Pueblo green chilies are the best. They're hard to get here. We can get the Hatch green chilies, but those are New Mexico green chilies, and that's not superior to a Colorado Pueblo green chili. I'm actually going to try growing them this year because it's hard to get. It's expensive to overnight them. And when we travel, when we go to Colorado visit, we have to plan cooler space to bring them home, and then freezer space. And it's a whole thing because Pueblo green chilies are superior to New Mexico. That's just the way it is. Anyway, so yes, and then like I said, a good mug, and I wrote that down before the whole mug thing, which is funny. All right, so the second prompt was to, I didn't bring it up. I gotta remember what it was. So it was to list your 2026 goals and what you can do during this cozy time to help reach those goals this year. So my number one here, Pueblo chili peppers. I found where to buy the seeds. I figured out, because my garden has to be, I think I've showed it before, it's temporary, very mobile. I figured out some new tote type things for it that I found on Amazon, so I'm going to order those. I've got a schedule for planting and make a supplies list, and now you've seen me move this a piece. I was going to tape this in here, but then I decided I didn't like it in here. Plus, it needs to go into my gardening journal because it is my gardening plan. So these are the seeds I have, and these are the seeds I'm going to buy. This is the place I have. This is the only place I could find to get the Pueblo chilies. These are the dates that I looked through my Farmer's Almanac book and figured out the planting, and I'm really going to focus on peppers this year. And so it said to plant them between March 1st through the 20th. Well, since I'm doing it in containers, I decided to wait towards the end, the 18th through the 20th. So I need to get my seeds and everything ordered so that by the end of March I can plant my pepper seeds. So here I've got planters. That should be planters. I'm going to get the planters from Amazon. I need to get some new dirt and the new dirt for the new planters, the flower planters, and one of my totes that I already have. And so that was my little notes that I thought I wanted in here, but I think I'm going to put it in my other journal, my gardening journal. All right, so then also my goal was some gnome maintenance. So my little gnomes that go outside, I need to research. Here's something. If you know, so my gnomes, the paint is fading on a bunch of them. And they're not looking as happy and bright as they used to. So I need to figure out what I can paint on them. Can I just do like acrylic paint? Does it need to be something? If you know, I also want them to be shiny. And if I do acrylic, that usually means they won't be shiny anymore. So if you know what to paint on some gnome statues to bring them back to their brightness, let me know. This year I want to work with Poseidon more. And I need, during my cozy time, I can research him some more. I haven't done much on that one. This year I'm going to do some chakra work, and I've started researching it. I'm going to actually record the intro video today. I wanted some ancestry stuff, and I need to finish the research on that. I'm almost done. I need to get that done pretty soon. And make friends with the birds. Birds and I have not gotten along for several years, and I've decided we need to make friends. So I bought some suet bird feeders, and they're ignoring it. So I need to figure out what to do about that too. And then I need to finish my crystal binder. So I've shown you the cards that I keep all my crystal information on. Well, it's not working anymore. I've got too many. So I'm converting everything over to a binder, and I'm almost ready to finish that. I've almost got them typed up, and then I need to print them. So that was January 2026. Let me do a little bit of rearranging, and then we'll go over the February prompts. All right. I just realized we didn't have to rearrange. I'm gonna, for most of it, there's gonna be the thing up. Anyway, so this is my February layout. As you can see, I've spread things out a little bit more. So I've got the message, in my pocket, in the sky, memories, gratitude. There's the theme, the season. Here's the go outside stuff, the magic, and then here is the themed stuff for the month. So let's go over the prompts for February. So like I said, the theme is going to be, I guess I didn't say that. So the theme is going to be self-love, and not just like self-love, but self-care, just feeling good about yourself. The doodle, I can see up here in the corner, is going to be doodles is hearts in your favorite color. So doesn't have to be red, doesn't have to be just one color, whatever you want. So we'll do the message, what's in my pocket. And like I've said before, it doesn't have to be what's in your pocket. Mine's going to be pocket and wrist. If you carry your stuff in your bra, totally fine. Anything magic you want to do, it could be rituals you've done, crystals you worked with, just books you've read, decks you've worked with, whatever you want, whatever you consider working on magic. We're going to do the go outside, the see, smell, feel, and hear. What's going on in the sky. Gratitude, the memories. Okay, now we'll get into... So, first prompt is, what are some things that you do to take care of yourself, reward yourself, and that help you, your mental, physical, and emotional self? Do as many of those things on the list as possible. So things you do that just help your mental state, emotions. Make the list and do as many of those things this month as you can do. Feel free to keep adding throughout the month. You don't need to make the list at the beginning of the month and then the rest of the month work on that list and only work on what you came up with. If you, at the end of the month, you think of another one, add it and do it. And if you can't get to them, that's totally fine too. Don't focus on what you haven't done. Just do what makes you feel good. And if there's stuff that you can't do, that you know you're not going to be able to do, say it's go for a hike, but you've got a foot of snow outside, go ahead and put it on the list, because it's still something that you can come back to later. And then over here is where I'm going to put, the other prompt is create or buy yourself a Valentine. If you want to go buy yourself some flowers, go buy yourself some flowers. You don't have to buy it for Valentine's Day either. If you want to wait till afterwards to buy the flowers when they're cheaper, totally do that. I've got an idea. This little brown paper thing, sticker thing, didn't quite work out, but I think I know how I'm going to change it, and this is going to work perfectly fine. So I'm going to make a little Valentine to put right here, and I'm excited to do that. So, and if you don't want to make one, go buy one. You can buy yourself a card. You can, like I said, buy flowers, buy yourself some chocolate, whatever you want. Just, make yourself a Valentine, or become your Valentine. All right, so as a little recap for the month, for January, I definitely noticed a difference. This, like I said, and then I'm going to explain more in the Mookite video, I was in a weird mood in January, especially at the beginning. And I don't know, I'm going to explain it more in the Mookite video. Just being able to pull this out, I found myself pulling it out anytime I was feeling down or just needed a little pick-me-up. Even if I wasn't going to write something in it, I would still pull it out once in a while and just read through it. And not just these pages that I was working on at that time, but, the previous ones. Just seeing my little gnomes and stuff that was going on the previous month kind of lifted my spirits a little bit. So having this, even if I wasn't writing stuff down, huge difference this month, and I noticed it. And when I was going through thinking about what to put in this video, I kind of realized more that how much this is helping. Day before yesterday, I was watching a video, and the guy in there said, if you're in a negative mood, do you go to your overcritical mother-in-law or supportive friend? And I thought that was a great description on how this feels. I really stress that you put your positive stuff in this journal. This is a positive energy journal. You come to this when you need the support, when you're feeling down, and like you go to your supportive friend instead of your overcritical mother-in-law. You're coming here. And I just, when I heard him say that, I thought that is the perfect example, or perfect kind of description of how this makes me feel. So that's it for January, and I hope more of you, I just hope everybody's getting out of it as much as I'm getting out of it. It's so much fun, and it's helping me, and I love reading all your messages about how you're following along too. So I'm sending you lots of positive energy, and I will see you next time.